The last thing I saw was my alarm clock flashing 12:07 before she pushed her long, rotting nails through my chest, her other hand muffling my screams. I sat bolt upright, relieved it was only a dream, but as I saw my alarm clock read 12:06, I heard my closet door creak open. When I was 4 years old, my mom and I moved into a large colonial house that was built in the late 1800s. My mom always had a weird feeling about the house. There was this little bricked off section in the basement, and we never knew why it was there. My mother told me that soon after we moved into the house, I suddenly had an imaginary friend. One day, out of the blue, I told her that I had been playing with a little girl named Jenny. She thought that it was just a phase and didn't pay much attention to it. I told her that Jenny wanted me to let the cat go into the basement so that she could play with it. My mother allowed me to let the cat go down there. It never came back. That creeped her out. Then, a few days later, I told her Jenny wanted me to go down in the basement to play with her. My mother refused and told me to go upstairs to bed. I did, and when I woke up the next morning, I had deep scratches on my back and legs. My mom decided to research the history of the house. She found an old picture of the house and the family who used to live there. She showed me the picture and asked if I recognized any of them. There were 7 little girls in the picture, and, without hesitation, I pointed to one of them. The name of all the family members were written on the back. The girl I had pointed to was named Jenny. My mother got scared because during her research, she had discovered that the girl named Jenny had gone down into the basement one day and was never seen again. The family never found her and they moved shortly after that. After I identified the girl in the picture, it was all way too much for my mom to handle. We moved out of the house and found somewhere else to live. When I was 18, my mom told me about what had happened in that house. It still scares me to think about it. After struggling desperately to move any part of his paralytic body just to alert the doctors that he was conscious before they made the first incision, he was relieved to see that one of the nurses had noticed his pupils dilating from the bright light. She leaned in close, in a whisper that tickled his ear, and said, "You think we don't know you're awake?" I was staying in my aunt's house when I saw my 4-year-old cousin April sitting on the stairs. She was making funny faces. I asked her what she was doing, and she said, "Well, I'm copying the lady with the braid." But there was no one else there, so I asked, "Well, where is this lady, April?" She pointed up at a beam running parallel to the stairwell. "And what's this lady doing?" I asked. "Well, she's making funny faces," April replied. I was about to go upstairs when April said something that stopped me in my tracks. "Her braid, it's around her neck." I asked what she meant. April pointed up and said, "The lady is hanging by her braid. She's making funny faces at me." Then April started making a face. Her eyes were wide and bugged out. Her mouth hung open and her tongue stuck out. I realized it was the face of someone who was being strangled to death. I pull into the driveway from another late night. I enter the house to find all the lights are out, as usual. My wife must already be in bed and asleep. It's late and I'm tired, so I figure I might as well go to bed too. I don't even bother turning on the lights anymore. I can navigate my way through this house blind. Besides, I don't want to wake the wife. The bedroom door creaks as it opens, and I inch my way to the side of the bed where I sleep and crawl in. I move close to my wife and wrap my arms around her. I know she's asleep, but I somehow feel her embrace me as I hold her. I slowly drift to sleep, with the love of my life asleep in my arms. I slowly begin to wake up and I find my love is no longer in my arms, or in bed for that matter. I open my eyes to see her entire side of the bed is covered in dried, crusty blood. I panic and look to the floor to see bloody footprints and drips of blood leading out of the room. I frantically get up to follow the footprints and search for my wife. As I approach the door, I decide to take one last look at the room. As I turn around, I see my once beautiful wife sliced open and mutilated, nailed to the wall behind my bed. Beside her, painted in her blood across the wall, were the words, "Thanks for holding me, but maybe next time you should turn on a light when you come in." It was late, really late. I don't know why I keep doing things like this to myself, staying up until all hours of the night. Yet here I was, walking up my wooden basement stairs in the complete darkness, oppressing my thoughts and obtruding into my mind morbid images and scary whimsical thoughts of monsters. I chuckled as I reached the top of the stairs. It was ridiculous to believe in fairy tales. I started to shut the door behind me, but just as it was about to close, it sprung back open as it rebounded off of something squishy. I jumped back and with horror looked down. A sock was wedged under the door and prevented it from closing. I nervously chuckled and threw the sock down into the basement. Then it was thrown back, landing at my feet. The worst part is, I live alone. When I was younger, my niece had an imaginary friend, but she said she wasn't allowed to tell anyone his name. She said he told her everyone would get scared if they knew it. But we kept asking her, and she would never tell anyone the name. Then one day, her mom and I were in the hallway, and my niece didn't realize it. She was talking to her imaginary friend and called him by his name. To this day, whenever I think about it, I'm still creeped out. The imaginary's friend was Lucifer. I'm the last one here. Those things have killed everyone else. Those things with the huge wings, with the beady eyes, with the sharp claws. Every time I close my eyes, I see my co-workers being ripped apart. A few of us have made it to the building here, but even here, we aren't safe. I watch them get picked off one by one, screaming as they fought against death. I tried to stop it. I swear I tried. I really did try. Now I'm running through the building to the main power center. With no one else to ask, I'm tasked with pressing one of these buttons. Either I will press the red button or the green button. Supposedly, one of the buttons will turn the powered doors back on, protecting us from whatever that shrieking, hungry and angry thing is outside. That's the red button. The other button is green and opens the opposite side powered door, and I can only imagine what might be out there. Why have I agreed to come and research in this lab? I think as I run, hearing the screeching behind me. Oh God, why? Why did I lie on my application? Why didn't I just admit that I was colorblind? You're slowly stirred awake by the distant ringing as the phone beside your bed pulls you out of your dreams. Your thoughts gather themselves and you groan, reaching over to answer. As soon as you place the phone to your ear, you're greeted by background noise consisting of twisting screams. People in agonizing pain, begging for help or death. Not that the interference allows you to hear any individual voice clearly enough. Get out of the house now. The call ends abruptly after what you could have sworn was a voice from closer than on the other end. You shift yourself to the side of the bed, sighing while rubbing your eyes. A call this startling and this early in the morning would keep you awake. Your wife shuffles to the side, apparently also woken by the call. She wraps her arms around you and kisses a light kiss on the neck.
Don't worry about it, her half-asleep mumble calms you down somewhat. Just as you're about to place the phone down, it rings again. You fumble slightly and drop it. Instead, you feel your wife's arms tightening around you, preventing you from leaning forward. It's then you notice a subtle difference between the arms around you and the familiarity of your wife's. He's too late to save you anyway. When you are admitted to a hospital, they place on your wrist a white wristband with your name on it, but there are other different colored wristbands which symbolize other things. The red wristbands are placed on dead people. There was one surgeon who worked on a night shift in a school hospital. He had just finished an operation and was on his way down to the basement. He entered the elevator and there was just one other person there. He casually chatted with the woman while the elevator descended. When the elevator door opened, another woman was about to enter when the doctor slammed the door closed and punched the button to the highest floor. Surprised, the woman reprimanded the doctor for being rude and asked why he did not let on the other woman. The doctor said, "That was the woman I just operated on. She died while I was doing the operation. Didn't you see the red wristband she was wearing?" The woman looked at him and smiled. She raised her arm and said, "Something like this one?"